So this presentation basically is. I hate this computer. I really do.
Operator.
There we go. It's biased towards landscape. And it's about light, obviously, so that's a big bold statement. So I'm not gonna be talking about light modifiers. I'm not gonna be talking about, flashes or anything like that. This is about natural light, what you're gonna find outdoors in the scene. So I get a little frustrated with all this going on here. And like I said, it's biased towards landscape, and all the, there are a few other things we'll be talking about. So we're gonna jump in here, and what is light? Well, what is photography? Made up of two words, and I promise not to say this, but photography, photo is from the Greek word meaning light, and graphos from Greek word meaning to draw or to write. So literally we're drawing with light. But I'm not going to mention that because everyone knows that. So light is critical in landscape photography. It defines the mood, the depth, the texture of an image. The quality and direction of natural light can enhance colors and emphasize key features. Light will help tell a story and convey different emotions. And that's important in your photography. The same subject under different light will convey different emotions. So once you understand light, you can create any mood you want. Different times of the day, as well as the direction of light, will give different results for the same scene. Golden hour is going to offer warm, soft light, ideal for dramatic landscapes. Midday sunlight, creating more harsh contrasts, but can highlight textures and vibrant colors. Overcast conditions provide diffuse light, reducing shadows and enhancing details, making them perfect for moody or even lit scenes. So we're going to talk about different directions of light, as well as different times of the day, and even different sky conditions. What can work and what doesn't work. So side light. This is one that landscape photographers really want the most. Light's coming in from your side, from either from left or from right. So when I think of side light, I think of contouring and shaping the scene. What works? Look for anything with different shapes, such as rolling hills, anything with texture, rocks, sand. Look for contours. Anywhere light can hit one side and creates light there and create shadows on the opposite side. Pay close attention to the highlight and the shadows. Most people look for the light. Don't forget about the shadows. Shadows is very important in photography as well. Not the best light for portrait photographers, especially when you get to be a certain age like us. It does accentuate the wrinkles. So yeah, rolling hills. Your light coming in from the side. It's not a flat scene. Mesquite sand dunes. Paul brought us on this trip way, like there's actually people on that scene, but you can hardly see them. Paul brought us, I don't know, 100 miles away from Mesquite sand dunes one night, but you can see the shadows from left to right. A little more closer scene. Algodoni sand dunes there recently, but light and shadow. So that's what you're trying to accomplish with side light. Side light can also enhance some just foresty type scenes and so on. So light coming in from one side. We'll show you some different pictures. A few years ago, we were here in Moab, and we were all walking around Turret Arch, and we looked back through this framing area. We saw all kinds of photographers hanging around, and this is at sunrise. But your picture is kind of blown up, in my opinion, a little bit. Hundreds and hundreds of people trying to get the same picture, hanging over the walls. Detail is kind of gone. Maybe sunset's even better, because it's a sunset picture, it's the same scene. No one's around, but you got more detail in your rocks. So think of the time. There's sand dunes now before sunrise. So it's kind of flat. The texture in the sand is still there. You just can't see it. We got very flat light because the sun is below the horizon. Right at sunset, They're gonna get a little better. So now we're seeing some detail in the sands. Well, sometimes maybe even wait an hour, sun's a little higher. Now we're even seeing more detail. So how do you capture side sunlight? Well, polarizers work really, really good with side lighting. I said sunlight, but with side lighting. Try and fill the screen with whatever is interesting. Could be just a tree that's in there, it could be the sand dunes, it could be whatever. Fill up your screen. And look for contrasting backgrounds. So that's side light. Backlight. So light coming the other way. Now the light's in front of you. Light that glows. So backlight can be fun, be not any time when the sun is up. You don't have to be early morning, you don't have to be late in the day. Can also great for creating some interesting silhouettes. What does work? Trees work, flowers, water, waves. If you get to a beach, get the sun behind the waves, so you get the glow coming through the waves on the beach. Works really, really nice. You know, flowers is kind of the gimme for backlight. You know, flowers can look flat and boring, but when you have the right light behind it, backlight can really, really make flowers pop. Move around, maybe apply what we learned with a side light for some shadowing. If you can't have a dark background, go for that. Hibiscus taken in my backyard. So now the sun is in front of me, it's trying to backlit things, but we got a lot of lens flare. So be careful of that when you're doing backlit type things. Use your lens hood or maybe use a hat or your hand to shade your lens. Light coming across it is going to create a lens flare. Now, with that said, a lot of people like the lens flare. Very nice effect. A lot of people will add lens flare in post-production. So don't be afraid to look up. More flowers, backlighting it, but darker background. Yeah, find something dark behind the background subject. Your backlighting. A little bit of snow and some trees. Tree now pops because of the backlighting. Right? Any questions in there you want to comment? Just stop me anytime. What when you're backlighting things? Mountains, not so much. Buildings, not so much. You know, Paul should be familiar with this mountain. Doesn't look all that great when we in this picture. Because you really don't see it. But Mount Rainier is a nice mountain. In proper lighting, it can really pop. This is obviously not backlit. Yeah, Grand Tetons, backlit. Not that exciting. I'll see some later with different lighting. Buildings, Dubai, yeah, backlit, not so great. So how do you capture? You want to overexpose a little bit. You got a lot of light hitting your sensor, and your camera's going to try and go to medium gray, so it's going to try and brighten everything up. It's going to actually darken everything down if you don't overexpose it. I got parents. So everything will come up very, very dark if you don't overexpose it. Use your lens shade. Consider eating more shading, like I said earlier. Use a hat, a hand, whatever, just to keep that sun off your lens. And believe it or not, these nano-coated lenses you pay a little extra for do work. They do cut down on the lens flare. Diffuse light. So how do we get diffuse light? So that's kind of on a cloudy day. You get soft, flat, and non-directional light. So it's not coming from any real direction. It's just kind of a flat light. What's it good for? I always think waterfalls. And I think Neil's the same way. Neil loves waterfalls as well. It's a great time to do waterfalls. On a sunny day, it's a bad time to do waterfalls. You got lots of hot spots. But on a nice cloudy day, waterfalls look really good. But anything with water, rivers, streams, fall colors. Best time to do fall colors is on a cloudy day. Don't go out on a sunny day. Go on a cloudy day. You'll get better saturation with your colors. Flowers, well, they kind of always work. It's a waterfall example. Sometimes you get a slightly longer exposure because it is a darker day. You got cloud, you may not even need ND filters. You might get a longer exposure just to get some. This is an example here when they were down in the Dominica. We were on a cruise and we hiked into there and I had about 5 seconds to get this picture. So I didn't have time to set up a tripod or nothing like that. But because it was dark enough, I was able to get a longer exposure. 2 seconds after the stick went off, this thing was filled with 50 other people from the cruise ship. But little streams while you're hiking, whatever, on a cloudy day. We have a couple of Albertans here. This is Elbow Falls in southern Alberta. This is the top of the waterfall. And yeah, on a cloudy day, it can pop. Bright sunny day, you can get this picture. Mentioned fall colors. Cloudy day, they just pop a lot better. Very little post action required for fall colors on that overcast day. Doesn't pop so much in that screen. Or again, like I said, water. Just water on a cloudy day. You can get some nice serene scenes and things like that. There's a nice calming effect. Now this was a longer exposure. This is a 60-second exposure, but still you get the idea. Photo tip on here. Most of our photos are perfect at this type of light when you're getting into diffuse lighting. Time to go around and just take pictures of leaves and things like that. Branches on trees, kind of pop. Just flowers, water and flowers early morning. Orange street scenes even work better sometimes than when you got diffuse light, as opposed to our harsh contrasted lights. Seen in Barcelona. So how to capture it? If you got water around, things like that can be bright and dark. You got a high dynamic range. You may want to consider aperture priority with bracketing. Now, people that are full manual, then manual housing will work for anything. Polarizer also works for getting a color boost, boost your skies and things like that. But it's also great for removing reflections in water. Yeah, just like I said, no need, there's no water, probably no need for bracketing because you don't want to have to dynamic. Twilight, luau, everyone knows what that is. That's after the sunset's gone now. But the sun is below the horizon. Now we're getting a total different look and feel. You get the subtle, pastel colors. It's actually one of my favorite times to take pictures. Most people leave when the sun, right at sunset, everyone starts packing up. Hang around a little bit. You're gonna get some nice, nicer colors. What works? A lot of things. Beach, water, trees, mountains, cities. I'll show you some examples of all of them. So beach scene, we got just after sunset. The sun has gone down. We still got some yellows in the sky. Or maybe dawn before the sun gets up. Early morning, I got up for a little walk on the beach in Dominican Republic, I think it was. We don't have to go far, just Josh Ocean. Or the Salton Sea, or at least what's left of it. Couple old dead palms, but you got the geothermal plants on the other side. So Death Valley. Now we got some different textures happening there with the sand. We get the blues and magentas coming out. Yeah, in twilight. Sand dunes again, but now look how different they look. You look almost like waves coming by. You get the real soft light on the sand dunes, as opposed to that harsher light we saw earlier in the pictures. So total different effect of the light. Mountains, water, early morning sights. Closer to sunrise now, but still in the blue aura. One of my favorite times of things to do is landscapes or cityscapes, I guess I should say. So Jim will know this place. Where's Jim? Right there. So that's Toronto for people that don't know, taken from the Toronto Islands a little further out. That was a picture from a long, long time ago. I think the city has probably changed a lot by now. I went to university there, but. Or where I am now in Calgary. So it's dark enough now that the city, the building lights are coming on, but you still got light in the sky. And that's the time I like to do that kind of scenes. Still in twilight, but now reflective light. Once the sun goes below the horizon, it's still a good time. You're getting light coming down. You can see now on the ocean waves, that's light reflecting back down from the clouds. It's not from the sun itself. Yeah, total different effect. Total different look and feel. Sun's almost down, but not quite. But it's down. You're getting a lot of reflected light in the water. And just to be different, this is a twilight show in Miramar a bunch of years ago. But the light you're seeing is actually the sun has set, so it's like we were in the dark, but the plane was so high up that it's got the light from the angle of the sun shooting up on it. I just thought it was interesting. But you don't have to go far. It's the between the 9th and 10th. Always here, just outside this house. And this was taken yet after dark. So it was in the blue hour. And like I said, don't pack up when the sun sets. This is one that Paul and Jeff dragged me over to take a picture of, because we had a perfect sunset location, and then Paul said, no, let's go somewhere else. But what is it, Jeff? About 20 minutes, 30 minutes after sunset, you get that pop of color. And this is when that pop of color happens. So this is like a half an hour after sunset. And the color just popped. This is obviously Balance Rock in Arches National Park by Moab. Sorry, Paul?
I said it was Jeff's fault, not mine.
I don't know about you, you know that, Paul. So how do you capture it? Underexpose a little bit, especially for the color saturation. If you let your camera on auto, because it's getting there, it's going to try and lighten everything up. So it's going to bring up the light. So you want to underexpose if you're using your own exposure compensation. If you're manual, just adjust it accordingly. So slightly underexposed. Hey, different type of light. Cloudy, stormy, or blah lighting. Blah is a technical term. Most people, you know, you want to shoot in the, especially for landscape photographers, look, at least me, and originally, when I first started doing it, I was looking for sunny days. I pretty soon realized sunny days are the most boring days to take landscape photography. You know, bright blue skies are not that exciting. So, cloudy, stormy, or blah can be the most spectacular of all, or it can totally suck. It's a gamble you take when you go out, right? So, what works? I would say big skies. You got some nice dramatic clouds that can work. Trees and fog. Beaches can work. People think sunny days on the beaches, but cloudy days work good too. City streets. So the big clouds. This is again Death Valley. So this picture is really emphasizing the clouds. Sometimes that really can work. We were judging some pictures a couple of days ago. Dale and Nan were there, and one of the pictures there was a beautiful cloud formation. We just beautiful, just the clouds. It was a stormy day, and the person did a really good job. Yeah, big clouds, trees and fog. Creates a nice atmosphere. Or another beach scene on a cloudy, stormy day. That's that same picture I showed you earlier when I was talking about sidelight. Now it's on a stormy day. Personally, I think this is a much nicer picture than what we saw already. Not one of my pictures. I think the sky's probably a little over processed, but you get the idea. We're really trying to get some nice sky pictures. Some of you remember that. Cloudy, miserable day in Yosemite a bunch of years ago. we woke up to I don't know, 6 inches of snow on the ground, and it was kind of wet and sloppy, and just, we had a hell of a time trying to keep our cameras dry because it was constantly, a lot of misty, it wasn't misty rain, it was misty snow, and it was just awful. And there's Gail. I think it's you, Gail, or any one of them. I'm not sure who anymore.
The umbrella. right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, and why I like this picture, I have no idea, but we're taking these pictures, and my lens was so wet by this time, it just kind of gave it a really weird effect, but. Some of you seen Lake Louise in Banff, Canada, bike study pictures. This was a day, few people from this camper club actually came up and visited me one summer. We went on what we call the Four Guys Excellent Adventure. Wasn't that excellent that day because it was kind of rainy and drizzly, and but you make do with what you got, right, and try and get some pictures. So yeah, you're looking up towards the Victoria Glacier, but kind of cloudy and dull, but still works okay. Sometimes you gotta use your imagination, just do something else. Just to try and get a shot. Some of you seen some of my work from Moraine Lake, the big beautiful scene with big lake and it's the valley of the 10 peaks. But rainy, wet days, you just turn and get some close-ups, look at different things, look around at different angles. Get the wet rocks in the pictures. Maybe the canoes that are on the the flowers hanging in there. Photo tip, good light as well, good, but dramatic light can be spectacular. So we are known for some light breaks in the sky. That cloudy day, but we got a nice break, and I think it makes for an excellent picture. That same day in Yosemite that snowed all day, we went for a sunset shot. And there was a line of what, I don't know, 20 or 30 photographers, and we were waiting there, nothing was happening. A lot of the photographers were packing up because, this is a bus, it's not gonna happen. And then the light broke for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, that was it. And it turned out to be one of my favorite shots from that particular trip. Don't give up on it. You can get a break in the clouds sometimes. The other day, I was taking some pictures, we were just in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Just taking pictures of the sky there, and people walked by, and what was I doing? Look behind it. And a nice big double rainbow. So look for rainbows on stormy days. Can be exciting. And there, it happened quite a bit. My one and only time trying to get lightning shots is from my backyard in Canada. I did get one, and I said, no, I don't need to do this anymore. Out with my grandkids one day, and we were about a couple miles from the house, and this thing came up behind us, so I'm trying to run home with the grandkids before we got soaked. Big storm set, a big squall came in. Another photo tip, city streets look awesome after rains. Scene from Paris, not my picture, but it's just great. I think it's a fantastic scene with the wet streets, the cobblestones and so on. Don't be afraid to go out when it's a little bit wet. You might have to bracket if it's stormy and the weather is changing. Back when I did this presentation 10 years ago, I was doing a lot of bracketing. I don't do so much anymore. Not that I was blending all these pictures when I was bracketing, but just to make sure I got all the exposure. So when I got home, that I not know if the whites got something in the details to the darks. Shooting into the sun. The shooting into the sun can add another, sense of time to a picture. In other words, static picture, but as soon as you get the sun in it, it can add something to it. What works? Mountains, trees, clouds. Basically, I say almost anything you can position the sun behind. Mesa Arch, we had a couple years ago on one of our trips. Don, you're online, I know that. Don got us out here, 3 hours or something before 2 hours before sunrise. So you get there, it's pitch black. You don't really know where to stand. Gail and I went off to one side. We realized that the whole group went the other way. So we moved over, but you can't see nothing. You can't see your hand in front of your face. You don't know where you're actually setting up. And we try photo pills where the sun's coming up. But anyway, about an hour before sunrise, you better have found your position, because by that time, there's 100 other people around you. You are literally, all your tripod legs are all interlocked and everything else. So there's no way of moving to, okay, let's move to sun off more to the left or whatever. You're stuck with what you get at that point. But still, you can get some nice shots. I mean, the thing about this arch everyone loves is the glow you get on the underside of the arch, right? So unfortunately, that screen doesn't do it well, but look at this one.
Yeah,
Total different shots.
I've thought about turning that little.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how this projector does it really.
Anyway, we're not gonna do about that.
No, I'm just gonna turn it around and just, because sometimes you can see the difference.
There's that one.
It's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Just by on big screen TV.
Yeah.
But
We got the same problem where we go with projections and photography don't go together. Anyway, White Tank Arch in Joshua Tree, everyone's been there, so. And yet another Joshua Tree.
look at the color difference between
Yeah.
them two.
Yeah, you're just placing the sun, against something, in this case, against some trees. Grand Tetons, sun setting over the Grand Tetons. 2 trees. Sometimes you don't have to wait for the sun to be low. I mean, the sun's still high in the sky. And you get clouds in the sun, you get breaks in the clouds. I call them God beams. I think a few other people say the same thing. So just all these beams of light that you can capture. It makes for very dramatic pictures. Beams of light shining over the mountains and so on. Done a lot of cruising. You got really boring cruising days when you're out at sea, but sometimes you get some clouds and some lights happening with the sky. San Juan again. Antelope Canyons, this time, you got a very high light because you can only get these shots at around 12 noon. The light is coming down into the canyon. Unfortunately, you can't do photography in the Antelope Canyons anymore. There is Canyon X, which is not quite as good, but yeah, God rays, I call them, God beams. So to get the sunset, who doesn't know how to do it? Everyone knows. So basically, you're going to use position your something. I like to position it against a tree or building to dim it down a little bit, and then use on something like f16 to f22. I tend to use f22. Look up. And Don, you're online. Do you see yourself in that picture?
You didn't clone him out.
I didn't clone him out. He adds to the pictures.
That's funny.
But if you're doing sun stars, those kinds of things, you want to use a little bit longer lens, like a 16 to 35 wide angle. You're going to get a very tiny sun star. You see, there is a sun star in there, but it's very tiny. So you want to go up 35 to 70 mil or even more. So don't go super wide because they're trying to get a sun star. Just won't do nothing. And yeah, shooting into the sun, you want to overexpose it a little bit. Kind of in, I don't know what you really think, but you get a silhouette if you don't overexpose. And I mentioned before f16 or up to f22. I tend to use f22 to get the sun stars. But anything above f16 should work for you. And my geeky tip, you ever wonder why you get the beams of light? And how the sun star really works? It's actually, if you look it up, it's called a diffraction star. Where you will get the number of spokes are going to be twice the number if you have an odd number of blades. Everyone knows what the aperture blades are in your lens, right? If you have an odd number of blades, you're gonna get twice the number of spokes, and if you have an even number, you get the same number. So 7 blades in your lens, you're gonna get 14 spokes. 8 blades, you will get 8 spokes.
I just forgot.
See, you learn something. Front legs, okay, we've gone all the way around now, so most common and ordinary, in my opinion, with light, you can still make it work. What works? Mountains, hills, city, architecture. Here is a front light, Oregon, Painted Hills in Oregon, so taken at sunset, but still, I think you could have done a better job by moving around slightly different to get the light from the side. This one front light, I think it works a little bit better. Still front lit. It's closer to sunset. Yeah, front lit. My backyard or just river behind my house, up north. We've all seen pictures of Yosemite at Valley View. And they're nice pictures, everyone gets there at different times of day, and then wrong time of day, in my opinion, was, it's front lit. It's not that exciting. But maybe you can do something with front light. You get some dark clouds in behind, sun hitting some straw, wheat, grasses of some sort. Creates a nice effect. Buildings can work, front lit. A lot of Celsius in Turkey. Vatican, yeah, just plain, but. How to capture it? With just cloud and sun bracket. You can see I was way into bracketing back 10 years ago. I think one shot usually works. Good and almost good light. That makes sense, right? As a landscape photographer, we're all looking for that, sunset and sunrise, the golden hours. We like the blue hours, but there's a couple hours that's, an hour or so after sunset. So around 10 o'clock in the morning, but till around noon before the midday sun. So there's good and almost good. So yeah, Mount Rainier, mid morning. We saw that shot already. Yeah, mid morning. These are just some mid morning shots. Not as dramatic, but another one from our 4 guys excellent adventure in Alberta. So my biggest to date. This is 22 different pictures.
Oh, no.
2 layers and 11 exposures across. So this thing I can blow up. You've covered multiple buildings. Mid morning, Banff Springs Hotel in Banff.
Got that?
Yeah, everyone's got that one. Bow Falls next to the, right next to the Banff Springs. Do you have this one? Mount Rundle, with 2 Jack Lake in front, and yeah, that's in Banff National Park. Just going through some, like I said, mid-morning type shots. Another time of day is night. So night and noon photography, and I don't do any real astrophotography, but the stars and those kinds of things I do. So Joshua Tree, Jeff was with me on these pictures too. This was my first time out there doing pictures. We were on a workshop up in Joshua Tree. Just shooting some pictures. Probably a little over processed, and then it was over brightened in post processing because it almost looks like I'm trying to make it midday. But just play around. It's the harvest moon right on my backyard. Yosemite. It's taken from the bridge just outside the hotel there. A lot of people got that picture, a half dome. You walk around the other way, Yosemite, to the upper and lower falls. Night shots. Next picture Jeff doesn't like, but I kind of liked it. We went to Fonts Point a bunch of years ago, and we set up to take some, it was a Milky Way close to happen that night. So we set up to take some pictures, and we're gonna go somewhere else later. But anyway, we set up and everything was looking good, and then it started getting dark, and then everyone around the Salton Sea turned their lights on. So I call it Armageddon, because it looks like missile going down the buildings.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they canceled my air show on 14th. Anyway,
All the planes are gone.
Oh, they're all gone.
well, they're not all gone, all the military bases are shut down. Right? And it was on military base. Another time I went out to trying to capture the comets, the precise meteor showers. And I just kept my camera going, click, 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 click. It's just north of Calgary. That's what the bright bottom right is, city lights from Calgary. I figured, it'd be nice with over the oil derricks, or not the derricks, but the pumps. And I think there's a 2-hour elapsed photography, each one being a minute or so long. I don't never know my settings. But after 2 or 3 hours, my wife was with me. We got one little tiny comet up in the top. So sometimes it doesn't always work for you, but it did make a nice character, right? So Milky Way shots. We're not gonna go too much into this, but yeah, same scene that we showed you earlier with the twilight hour. This one now shot at dark, so it's totally dark out. You don't see any stars because they're all drowned out because of the city lights, but totally different picture. Yeah, look at that one. That one's different. You got black sky, but looks blue actually. So how to capture it? Usually night photography, you're not going to use auto settings, you're not going to use aperture or shutter priority. You're going to have to switch to manual. So if you're not into manual already, you're going to have to get into do night shots. You're going to aperture, you want to open up your aperture as much as it can go. You got a 2.8, open to 2.8. You got a 1.4, open to that. You want to allow as much light on that sensor as you possibly can. You're going to be setting shutter speeds for Milky Ways, 8, 20, 30 seconds. You do have an issue with movement of the stars. Stars are not moving, but the Earth is turning, so they think the illusion that the star is moving. So you want to keep it fairly quick. Raise your ISO. You might be up 5, 10, 40,000. You could get quite high. And focusing becomes an issue. So, zoom in on your LCD, tweak your focus. You're not going to be able to probably do a novel focus if it's really, really dark. We're coming around midday lighting. And I think that's the hardest of all to get good shots. You got very high dynamic range. It's very contrasty. But some things can work. What can work? Clouds, canyons. I'll show you a couple of those. You can do some long exposures. When I say location, 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 I was originally started out in hotel and restaurant management, and that was, the first 3 rules. It's location, location, location. Midday shots to me are your postcard files. Remember the old postcards you used to get? They were all brightly lit and everything was, What's most important is the location. It's the picture, it's the subject. You're not looking for dramatic light there, but you're taking a picture of something. And you had the 4 Guys Excellent Adventure up in Bath. So I tried to get some, the rivers and flowers and the mountains in the background. It's midday, it still works. Barker Dam here in Joshua Tree. Alberta Badlands. There's a few people from Alberta. They want to see the camel.
Yeah.
Or New York City, Las Vegas style. But midday can work too. Canyons work. I mentioned that earlier. So light coming down into a canyon can really, really make it, light it up and make it very, very dramatic. But look for those kinds of things. We went on a trip to Zion. We walked in Narrows a couple of years ago, and we had a perfect day. And we didn't go. We went the next day, and it was cloudy, and we didn't get the good light. But we had a good walk, right, Paul?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you. No. Yeah, midday. What do all the images have in common? Like I said before, it's location, and that's really what you're shooting at, you're trying to get a picture of the scene. But there's a but, you can always have fun. So long exposure, midday, cloud movement, you're getting some movement of the cloud, you convert it to black and white. Midday, I generally start thinking black and white. That's kind of where I usually go. So yeah, color picture like Minnewaca up in Banff. And I convert it to black and white. You can decide if you like it black and white or not. Golden hour for landscape photographers, I guess the magical time of the day, right? Soft, warm, dimensional, adds a quality to the images you can't replicate no matter how. Sorry, Pat, you can't replicate sunset. You don't get the same tune, you don't get the same shadow, and you don't get it. I mean, you can crank your temperature up to nice and warm and make it pretend it's sunset, but it's not. What works to me, everything. This is the picture I'm really showing because it's probably the first time I really got the word golden hour and meant something. This picture is not in process, and the colors have not been enhanced. This is a picture we did, and I know Don is on here, and a few other people went on this trip. We went to Salton Sea. This is by Bombay Beach. And that particular night, we've got some really amazing golden colors. I actually didn't take a lot of pictures because I was just amazed with the light. I was just looking around. This is so cool. But again, desert into the sun. So yeah, we've got sunset, but now we're shooting into the sun. Sun's behind you, sunset, but sun behind you. I mean, I'm going through different directions here now. Sun to the side. And we got God beams again, kind of out of place. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
The sun is getting low in the sky, not quite sunset, but you're still into the golden hour. The golden hour, I mean, it varies from where you are in the world and how far up north you are, whether it lasts an hour or less. Usually it's quite a bit less. So we're just around here. Buildings before, we saw the Dubai one earlier that was kind of flat, but now it's got some nice things to it. New York's skyline. Golden hour. But not just landscape, animals. Horsey is my favorite. People know that. So. But golden light's nice and soft. And you get that fiery color. I mean, the light that you see in the midday is only traveling, 80 miles, whatever, to get from space down to the earth. So it's quite blue, and what we see is blue. But in the golden hours, it's traveling several thousand miles through the atmosphere, which is off on the horizon. You get a total different color. Now you're seeing the reds, the oranges. Totally different. And how soft the light is. And one of the things I always say with sunset, shoot fast. It really happens quite quickly. You'd be surprised at how the light changes so very quickly, and you lose it before you realize it's gone. So we talked about all about the light. So what does it mean? You got soft light, harsh light, cool, warm. So soft light characterized by low levels of light, lack of shadows, small and gentle difference between the dark and bright areas. It's usually the result of diffused light, clouds, or the atmosphere. When does that happen? It depends on the weather. Obviously, if you got clouds and so on, you're going to get soft. But the edges of today, so your golden hours, just before sunset and sunrise, or I could say cloudy or overcast days. Golden hour considered the best for landscape by most people. There was an article written by a photographer in Calgary a bunch of years ago, and was titled "Have Photographers Ruined Sunset or Ruined Sunrise?" And what he was really getting at, I went to Moraine Lake one year, and I got there 1 hour or so before sunrise. The parking lot was already full. I get out to the lake, there's 1,000 other people there all with their cell phones. Because they all were told by photographers that sunrise is the best time of day to take pictures. So I had to fight hundreds of people. Pay attention to your shutter speed. You know, the light is going to be changing very, very quickly, at those times of days. Harsh light, characterized by strong levels of light, long, deep shadows, a big difference between dark and bright. So very high dynamic range. And that happens again, usually midday, bright sunny days. Very contrasty to take pictures, which can be good. And I'm not saying it's bad, can be good. So your little chart, the contrast, the highest to lowest. So midday is going to be the highest. The direction the sun is near vertical. Your color temperature is going to be pretty much neutral. Evening and morning, you're good but not great light. Still got high contrast. Colors are getting slightly warmer. Direction of the sun, like I said, mid to low. Golden hours, sun is near horizontal. Medium contrast, a lot less. But now we're getting the colors of warm to fiery. And in your lowest contrast, your twilight and your dark areas, right? And you get the cool pastel colors. And the sun is below the horizon. So direction of light affects everything. The side, the back, front. So you are the artist, only you can decide. No such thing as bad light, just what you make of it. And it's a quote I love. Embrace light, admire it, love it. However, above all, know light. Know it for all you are worth, and you will know the key to photography. That's the George Eastman. And that's my presentation.